Music in the Cafe, a Lukanette alternate universe month-long fanfiction. Each day will be based on a writing prompt from the Lukanette September 2019 calendar. I do not own this calendar. I will be linking the Tumblr post I found it in the description box below. Thank you for reading, listening, or watching. Please enjoy. Day 13. Earrings. Marinette sighed and rubbed her eyes. It was late, 2 a.m. in the morning, and rarely did she ever stay up past 11. One of her employees had offered to open and take their usual shift off. Of course, Marinette jumped and leapt and accepted the trade immediately. Normally, on those isolated nights, Marinette would enjoy it by watching movies and TV show episodes back to back without worrying about waking up. But right now, on this night, Marinette was not enjoying herself. She was very worried, and because of that, she decided to do some research, which made her worry even more. "I don't have anxiety," she mumbled to herself. "I'm just crazy." That was an accurate statement. If anyone was watching her right now, they'd see a 20-some-year-old woman cuddled in 3 blankets in her dark bedroom, staring at a laptop screen, mumbling to herself. Yeah, if that wasn't crazy, then what was? "I'm fine," Marinette said again. She took a deep breath and shuddered off the blankets, thinking about that one man that had gotten into her mind, that got her mind started down the rabbit hole. The mystery man was no customer, no. Marinette hadn't even been at the shop when she ran into him. She was at a warehouse club picking up stuff for the cafe. Today, ever since Marinette woke up, she was very irritable. A lot of small things she normally let slide tick her off. It was a miracle Lila didn't come around, or else Marinette would have lost her mind. At the warehouse club, Marinette had run her car into 3 different display counters. She hadn't been thinking was on autopilot, so 3 times all eyes were on her when she crashed with a loud noise. It was terribly embarrassing. That feeling just made Marinette want to shrivel up and die. Everyone was watching her, and no doubt they were laughing on the inside. Her face had gone red as a tomato when she gingerly pulled her cart out and kept going her way, trying to ignore all the glances her way. It wasn't uncommon for Marinette to run into things. For one, she'd always been clumsy. The girl was never aware of her physical surroundings, especially nowadays. It was like she didn't even know what was going on around her, full stop. After the 3rd time ramming her cart into a display corner, Marinette was so focused, she didn't realize that she was about to hit a real person and just narrowly swerved out of the way. Luckily, no one else was in the aisle, or else they would have gotten hit. The man looked at her with a blank expression. Marinette had stopped moving her cart once it was out of the way and wiped her sweaty hands on the back of her shirt. "Oh, I'm so sorry, sir. I should have been paying more attention," she said worriedly. The man had begun to laugh and said in a kind manner, "I am as slow as a turtle, as I make no such noise." He patted her shoulder. Marinette's face blushed red from embarrassment. She'd almost hit an old man with a cart, and no matter how perfectly safe he was, it was a terrible act. The man placed both hands on her shoulder, perplexing her with his expression. His eyebrows were raised, and he had a smile imprinted on his face. "Ah, I understand now why I felt that energy," he said. Marinette opened her mouth to ask what the heck he was talking about, but no words came out. "You are a nervous one," he said pointedly, and Marinette nodded her head in confirmation. "I feel your soul is conflicted. It is scared. It craves peace." The man reached into his pocket and pulled out 2 colorful rocks and dropped it in her hands. "You are in spiritual and physical disarray. This is fluorite. It will heal you. Please keep it with you at all times." The mystery elder took his hands off her shoulder, and Marinette automatically reached over and felt her shoulder where the man had just touched, and
He hummed and crossed his hands behind his back. It was only then when Marinette noticed how tense and tightened her muscles were, and that she was a very cold person. Might I suggest seeing a therapist? It would work wonders for your anxiety. The man began to walk away, humming a little happy tune, while Marinette just stayed put, gawking. So that's how Marinette ended up here. She'd been on a late-night search session on anxiety and crystals. Difficult sleeping? Marinette pondered out loud. She usually slept pretty well, especially nowadays. Unexplained nervousness, panic, and unease. Marinette bit her lip. Okay, maybe that one Marinette had problems with. The number of times she'd just get worried or felt like something was about to go wrong for no reason couldn't even be counted. Disease spells? Marinette frowned. Had she ever had one of those? Not that she could think of. What were the qualifications? Concentration problems. That one applied to today. But it wasn't like it was an everyday thing. It would only happen every once in a while when she was worrying about something. Panic attacks or anxiety attacks. Marinette pursed her lips to a side. Anxiety attacks? Her eyes narrowed. She didn't know much about them. Some of her customers mentioned something about experiencing them, but they never said much or went into detail. Hyperventilation and rapid heartbeats. Racing thoughts and trembling. The black-haired girl bit her lip. That happened often. Marinette kept reading down the list. Some things applied to her and some things didn't. It was almost 3 in the morning, and Marinette had read through 4 pages about anxiety. It probably wasn't a good idea. It was just making her feel like she really did have anxiety. But she didn't. Obviously, everything she felt, it was normal, right? Everyone gets scared and they worry. I'm not the only one like this. I don't have anxiety. I'm just more vigilant. I'm fine. I'm normal. All that these pages are telling me is that I'm just trying to act special. I'm normal. I'm fine. I'm not special. I'm just looking for attention, Marinette told herself. She shut her laptop down and set it to the desk by her side and sighed. She rubbed her eyes and picked up her phone. 2:57, and I don't have to work until 2:30, Marinette hummed. Setting her phone back down, Marinette felt something cool and hardened. It was the crystals that the mystery man had gave her. What were the stones? What did they do? What were they called? Fluorite? Fluorite! What did it do? Marinette searched it up. It absorbs negative energy and stress. It stabilizes your aura and supports your immune system, she read. Marinette was not one to believe in crystal hearing, being all skeptical. But for some reason, right now she was willing to make an exception. Thus, she did more research about crystals and what they could do. She was researching about how to use crystals. Apparently, you needed to keep the fluorite on you at all times in order for it to help you. The ebony-haired girl pondered. Was she actually about to trust a rock that wasn't even living and therefore a random elderly man given to her, and they were given to her by a random elderly man who she had just met today to make her life better? That's crazy talk. But yet, the cafe owner found herself looking at a DIY page about how to make crystal earrings. All the project called for were wires, pliers, and the crystal itself. But what Marinette needed was some sleep. So after bookmarking the page, that's what she did. Marinette! Marinette! You did it! Business is booming! Alia cried out, hugging her best friend tightly. Marinette beamed at her and sighed happily at the sight in front of her. Her fashion studio was a success! People were coming in and out, constantly raving about the clothes and chattering excitedly amongst friends. More than once, people had eagerly called up a friend and told them to come to the store, or that they needed to stop by in a larger group. It was a dream come true. Marinette felt her heart swell with happiness and pride. I knew you would make it, Marinette heard a voice say behind her. Turning around, she smiled widely and melted into a warm hug. Thank you, Luca, for believing in me, she said. Her cheeks were a rosy pink. Mari, we need to restock. Everything is selling out fast, Tiki cried, pulling Marinette along to the upstairs storage. Seriously? Marinette was flabbergasted. Tiki nodded and ripped open a box, shoving many shirts and dresses into an unsuspecting girl's arms. Come on! Everyone loves your store! Tiki laughed and practically flew down to restock. The Now boutique owner was overjoyed to see the sheer number of people in the store. Her employees were rushing around, restocking, refolding, and helping customers. Even Flag had a notable smile on his face as he directed a young mom and her daughter towards the children's racks. He must have felt her stare because, turning over, he scowled at Marinette, clearly not wanting anyone to see him display positive emotions. But nonetheless, the action made her laugh. The dream is real, Alia mused, suddenly standing next to Marinette. Marinette smiled and nodded, hanging clothes on a near-empty rack. I'm so proud of you. Marinette felt her heart burst. One sweep over the store and Marinette felt a euphoric ecstasy that she had never felt before. Tiki and Flag and the rest of her staff were busy as can be but smiled brightly. Her best friend Alia was by her side just as she'd always promised. And Luca, perhaps the new love of her life, was standing and admiring every piece and every article of clothing Marinette had created. What could be better than this? Ridiculous! Utterly ridiculous! The bells on the doors chimed, and all at once the store went silent. Only that one looming, booming voice rang out and echoed across the store. A high-pitched shrill of laughter followed the shout. No, 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 no! Marinette felt breath leave her lungs, and suddenly there was no room to breathe. It can't be, she whimpered out. I have never seen a more disgusting, lowly, wretched place. Why must you all suffer in this disappointment of a store with a cowardly owner? When a more exquisite, a more luxurious, a more sophisticated, a more fashionable boutique is right next door. The voice felt like a stab and wrench in Marinette's stomach, and she felt herself dropping to the floor. Or maybe everything was slowly getting larger? There were small murmurs making their way across the stores, and then the murmurs became louder, and then the talking became frazzled. Soon people were shouting. Yeah, what am I doing here? These clothes are ugly. Ugh, stupid, talentless designer. A dog couldn't even wear this. I have standards, and this will not do. Let's get out of here. Chloe and Lila have a way better shop. Her customers, the ones so excited for her clothes, were gone in a heartbeat, shouting insults and cackling as they threw pieces to the floor. They trampled out like a herd, and all that was left were ruined clothes and a staff. The floor was littered with shirts with holes ripped in them. There were jeans somehow ripped in half. Some of them had stains of grape juice on them, others permanent marker drawings that made Marinette never want to see it. That Marinette never wanted to see. Racks were knocked over, some bent at odd angles. it was gone. Her pride and joy, the store she'd worked so hard on, and the people that enjoyed it for only a minute, it was gone. Her staff, her friends, they didn't move. They stood in silence as tears flowed down her face. Alia didn't even look at the girl now down on the floor. A second ticked by, and another, and then a minute, then two. No one moved or spoke or maybe even breathed. One movement then caught everyone's eyes. Dusu, her employee, was walking. She was walking out, and then another follows suit. Nuru, he was out following Dusu's leave. And then Sass, her dear friend, Pollen too. She walked out hand in hand. Tiki and Plag. They walked out without a word or looked back. It didn't even feel like walking. It felt like they were trampling over Marinette's heart. Alia moved next. Marinette grabbed onto her wrist. "Please don't leave," Marinette begged, holding on with all her strength. Alia's expression remained blank, and she ripped out of Marinette's weak hold. "Do tell me, what reason do I have to stay for a failure?" Alia hissed. Marinette couldn't speak. What could she say? She was a failure. Out Alia walked, out of her store, out of her life, and what could Marinette do? Nothing. She just hung her head and cried. Burying her face in her hands, hot tears exploded down her face. Maybe if she cried enough, she could drown in her sorrow tears. They wouldn't stop flowing. She pressed her hands against her eyes again and again, but no, they continued. She was pathetically laying on the floor with enough tears to rival the Red Sea. A warm, touching feeling was felt on her hands, and but the water didn't stop, but her hands were taken away to meet the eyes of Luka. Oh, kind, loving, caring Luka, he stayed. By some miracle, he stayed. He was here, and Luka was here when no one else was. When everyone else turned their back and left, he didn't. He took her hand in his, and Marinette felt herself breathe. "Luke!" A sharp pain ripped through Marinette's hand, and she cried out. She breathed faster and faster. There was no way. There was no air, no oxygen. Breathe, breathe. She was no longer on her own. A ring? Why was he holding a ring? Luka stood there, the kind smile now looked cruel and evil. His eyes darkened, and there was a ghost of a laugh. "Did you really think I would choose you?" Marinette awoke with a fright. "Breathe, breathe," she said out loud, her voice finally coming through. "Breathe, breathe." There was air. Oh, sweet Lord, there was air. She could breathe. It wasn't closing in. Marinette placed a hand on her head and on her heart and felt the thumping. It was fast. It went so fast. It made it hard to breathe. Oh, where did the air go? Another breath. And the speed went down. Marinette felt her forehead, which had been hot and slightly sticky. It was a nightmare, she said in between gasps. A nightmare. Marinette rubbed her eyes. No tears. Good sign. Looking around, she still saw her bedroom. It was messy, but it was her room nonetheless. Reaching over, Marinette grabbed her phone and looked at the time. 10:43. Not too late, nor too early. I guess I should definitely go make those earrings, she decided out loud. And that's what she was doing for the next 2 hours. Apparently bending wires and fitting them tightly around a gemstone was hard to do. It took way too long to get just one done. She sighed and finally left her bedroom, and headed down to make lunch. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, and Marinette plucked it out to see what it was. It was a message from Luka on Instagram. A cute little puppy gift. She smiled and texted back. Aw, he's so cute.
I saw him on my Explore page. I thought he might make you smile.
He did.
By the way, I didn't see you this morning. Are you feeling okay?
Oh no, I'm okay. Someone offered to open today, and I just wanted to sleep.
That makes sense. I was gonna ask you something this morning, but can I ask you now?
What is it?
I was wondering if you were free next Saturday, around 2-ish, because there's a carnival in town, and I'm leaving on that Sunday, I think. And I think it would be fun to hang out for a while.
That sounds great. I'll schedule someone else to cover that shift.
Great.
Marinette clicked her phone closed and smiled excitedly. Saturday would come soon. All Marinette had to do today was finish the other earring, make lunch, work a shift, eat dinner, and sleep. And then it was already Thursday.